Tonight begins the 3-year death anniversary of my first love, my kid's dad and my ex-husband. And I'm just feeling some feels tonight. And I wanted to share something that came to my mind as I was thinking about him and, diving down that hole of looking back at pictures and just remembering him and his face and just all the tenderness, and with that comes the pain and the painful memories and all of the heaviness too. And I just, through every year of pictures I was looking through and every moment in different phases and parts of his life, I kept saying, oh, he was living outside himself there. Oh, he was outside himself. Oh yeah, it was really clear he was outside himself. And the only reason I know that is because I've lived outside myself for most of my life. And only recently have I come back home to myself and found this safe place that truly is immune to what other people think or believe or even act or behave around me. And I had never understood this before in my life until the last year. And, it's something obviously I'm building my business, my coaching business is built on this, and it's something I focus on in raising my kids. Like, how do we give that to young people from an early age? And so that'll be for another day. But today I just want to talk about, we talk around this idea a lot, just feeling isolated or the anxiousness of not being known or seen or being true to ourselves or having a strong sense of self or having self-esteem or losing ourselves in a relationship or self-abandoning or, finding yourself or finding your identity. And all these things, we're just talking in circles around something. And I have recently just found myself kept saying, oh, that's because he's living outside himself. Oh, that's when I was living outside myself. And when I look back at these pictures of my husband, it's almost like towards the end of his life, he was using drugs, and, he was an alcoholic forever. And so, he wasn't necessarily coherent all the time, but on his phone, there were all these series of selfies. Okay, so this was in 2016, and I mean, there's probably 10 to 15 series of selfies that he took where he's just like sitting there doing, sometimes he's like looking like he's talking to someone, and it's so interesting. So I'm just scrolling through these, and it's fascinating to me because I'm like, what was he doing? And I swear to you, I've been thinking about this for 3 years, off and on, but it just hit me tonight. I'm like, he's trying to take a picture of his real self because he's been living so long and so hard outside of himself, he can't even identify what's true and what's false anymore. And what happens is we split from ourselves when we want to be accepted. We will give up authenticity to our true self and to commitment to self and just being who we are in order to be accepted and find a place to belong and to be enough and to feel like we're enough in the world, whether it's with our parents, with a social group, friends, coworker, whatever it is, or a spouse. So when you split yourself, you live outside yourself. There's the real you who's like hovering. It's almost like you're hovering and just watching the other self be the more acceptable one. Glennon Doyle talks about this being her reps. Okay, so she sent out these reps to say the right things, wear the right clothes, put on the right makeup, look the right part, do all that to do all her business, when really she's over here. And so if you're living like that, if you feel like there's two versions of you, if there's a real one, you know, the real me, and then the version everybody else gets, or most of the people get, you can confirm you're living outside yourself. You have split. And Eckhart Tolle talks about this in The Power of Now, how he was on the brink of suicide. And he realized the way he was talking to himself, his thoughts was split. There was I and myself, and there was me and you. And the way he would talk, and he realized there was two. He was talking about two different hymns. And then that, started him into this enlightenment and really bringing himself back to center and finding his true self. Because really what it is it's so, I need to be careful how I word this, because this is such a precious and individual journey that we all go on, and every single one of us has to. And you can't be forced to. There isn't a formula that fits everybody, and you just go through these, because it's not like that. So it really is, it has to be heart-led. You have to get fed up with living with the two versions and the two selves before you can ever find that alignment and come home to yourself. So that is my heart for all people, and especially young people, anybody who's hurting, who feels like there's a version of them that is what society will say is okay, and there's a version of them that they sit with at night and nobody sees, and they feel unseen and unheard and unknown. And that is, I think, the greatest human darkness that we can experience. So stick with me. Let's walk through this. Reach out to me if this is something that is lighting you up inside and you're saying, yes, I know what you're talking about. I feel that. I know that. I've said those things or whatever. This is what I do. I've walked the journey myself. I've been split in two. I've watched the mental illness and how that split works. And I have a lot of empathy and experience with that. And it's possible. All I have to say is it's possible. And if you're considering suicide, let me just say, suicide, kill the one that's inauthentic. Kill the one that puts on the pretty face, plays the part, plays the role, does the thing to get accepted, because that's not the real you. The real you is the one who is grieved and hurting and restless about there being two of you. So save that one. Let that one live. And let's talk about this one. So I hope this gives you hope. Please share with anyone who you might think could listen and needs this tonight. So much love.